The March 27th Nintendo Direct has graced us with another trailer for Legends Z-A. And with it being so soon from the last Pokémon Presents, we thought they weren't going to show much. But we were actually pleasantly surprised. We were introduced to the Z-A Royale, the nightly competition that begins at sundown. There are so many implications that can be drawn from this addition to the Pokémon series. The biggest of which being, is Pokémon gonna be hard now? Could Pokémon actually be adding a higher level of difficulty in their games with this new mode ranked battle thing? And if so, then what could this mean for the series going forward? Because we have to consider that this potential new form of difficulty and potential NPC difficulty scaling is all intertwined with a brand new real-time battle system. So today, we'll be discussing this new rank-up gameplay system and its potential to become the hardest progression system in Pokémon thus far, and its implication that you could get jumped by Bugcatcher Tommy and his Mega Houndoom in the middle of the night. We'll also be discussing just how innovative Pokémon is for actually creating a real-time battle system in their games, and how this could potentially lead to some really wacky stuff. Now, is Pokémon even difficult? Yes, technically. The traditional battle style, contrary to what the games may lead you to believe, is actually full of a lot of depth. Watch any competitive battle, and the way the match is played, down to the choice of Pokémon, moves, and abilities, will lead anyone who doesn't know about Pokémon to think of it as a tactical game of sorts. Really, if you don't know just how much time and effort is put into building the right team and just how detrimental every single move in a competition match is, then you'd be pleasantly surprised. It's actually the reason that we are really starting to get into this whole competitive scene behind Pokémon. If Pokémon Champions turns out to be the kind of game people are hoping for, a battle simulator that is akin to an official Pokémon showdown, then yes, absolutely we are getting into competitive Pokémon. Now, the traditional battle style, whether you like it or not, is a well-oiled machine that is now, like Let's Go and Legends Arceus, being reformed into something completely different. We would go as far to say the most different than we've ever seen in a mainline or mainline-ish Pokémon game. Let's Go took away abilities, and Legends Arceus did away with that too, as well as adding a strong style and agile style, which added this really neat concept of battle order, adding a level of difficulty very prevalent in many other turn-based RPGs like Octopath Traveler. It was a big change, but a welcome one that many could have seen taken further. And whether or not that concept or a form of it makes a return in Legends Z-A, it is clear that Legends Z-A's doing away with turn-based combat entirely makes this game vastly different from Let's Go or Arceus, in a battle sense. But does this mean the game will actually get easier? Does Legends Z-A going in the complete opposite direction of an already established and in-depth formula leave this new style of combat devoid of any challenge for a Pokémon game? Well, no, actually. We think this allows them to add a level of difficulty that was very lightly touched upon in Legends Arceus, one that could be just as difficult and engaging as the traditional style when looked at through a competitive lens. The need to dodge attacks, space yourself accordingly, and look for windows of opportunity to attack, all these concepts are present in tactical spacing games like the Souls series and Final Fantasy VII Remake, the latter of which gave us the notion that Pokémon is trying to, like FF7 Remake, become this hybrid of strategic real-time action mixed with turn-based combat. At first, when we saw the real-time battle mechanics showcased in the trailer, the thought of it being fairly easy to just run around your opponent and spam all your moves seemed to be the new reality. But as we see in the trailers, this won't be the case. Each move has a timer, with what seems to be different loading times for certain moves. The Mega State is now time-based as well, meaning it's now becoming an even more limited resource beyond the one-use limit. In the March 27th Nintendo Direct Pokémon Legends Z-A trailer, we see that even moves like Dig can be used to dodge attacks, while simultaneously closing the distance and doing damage. Speaking of distance, now physical moves like Bite would be completely wasted if you don't position yourself close enough to make contact. Moves like Light Screen and Stealth Rock are now physical barriers you and your opponent have to play around. And with the reveal of Z-A Royale, we see that battles can take place pretty much anywhere and even amid structures or other obstacles, like trees or benches, that will undoubtedly hinder certain moves as well. When you look at the big picture, every single move and after effect you've grown accustomed to, having played Pokemon for many years, all that knowledge is now thrown out of the window as they play all completely differently in this real-time format. And with the inclusion of champions, this tells us that Pokemon isn't implementing this idea lightly, but instead using champions to maintain their traditional style, which allows them to really dive in and change the formula in a deep way. Now you may be thinking, even if this new style of battle has a lot of depth, so does the traditional battle style, and yet in the games, its difficulty potential still isn't utilized. Well, we believe that this time, hopefully, that won't be the case, thanks to the new Z-A Royale and its ranking system. Z-A Royale is when, at every single night, the city undergoes a tournament-styled battleground. where trainers can go around and battle other trainers of varying levels of strength in efforts to earn enough points to rank up. The rank starting from Z going all the way up to A, with the winner getting their wish granted, but more on that in a bit. It's essentially the Battle City arc from the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and if you know what that is, then you are very cool and deserve a cookie. Pokemon, to our knowledge, has never had a ranking system beyond that of the badges you collect. We don't think gyms are done away with entirely, and that this is a replacement of sorts, or at least we hope not. But now you earn a certain number of ticket points to earn a challenger's ticket, which you would then use to enter a promotion match to then rank up. Ticket points are earned by winning battles, with extra points up for grabs after meeting certain conditions like defeating the Pokemon with a Mega Pokemon delivering the final blow, or using a super effective move of any kind while in battle. The best part about this though is that you can not only rank up, but you can potentially rank down. As we see on the official site, each win gets you a certain number of points, which will no doubt increase in number the higher rank you go. Knowing this, what makes it clear that you could possibly derank are these images here, where in one image we see that 3 wins nets them enough points to earn 1 challenger ticket. But then in this image, they have 4 wins, and the bar is only halfway. Since the number depicts the amount of battles won and not battles total, you may not even earn enough points to obtain a challenger's ticket for that night, or even worse, derank and lose progress for losing too many battles. Meaning you'll have to collect an abundance of tickets all over again. But even then, with these images, it seems you can only earn 1 ticket at a time. That means 26 promotion matches and many preliminary matches to earn enough points to earn 26 challenger tickets. And with rank X, only 2 levels above rank Z, being filled up of trainers with at least 2 Pokemon around level 20? The rise to A is definitely looking to be a difficult climb. Now, D-ranking has not been officially confirmed on the site, however, all of this implies that it might become a reality. And we hope it does too, because it would just make the game that much more challenging. And none of this even takes into account that you are on a time limit. The Z-A Royale only takes place at night, meaning when daybreak hits, you can't earn any more points. And as you can see in the upper left corner surrounding the minimap, the day and night cycle is now depicted by a timer to make it clear just how much time you have, and may even lose if you aren't careful and don't plan accordingly. The official site even emphasizes the importance of preparing during the day to be ready to fight at night. Otherwise, under preparation could mean getting jumped in the middle of the street. And who knows, maybe blacking out will lead you to waking up in the day, completely missing the chance entirely to rank up that night. But what we are probably the most excited about in general is the real-time battle mechanics. Something we have wished for so long, and now that it's here, it presents to us some very interesting scenarios. So going forward, how much could they expand on this? Could we be getting double, triple, or even rotation battles with this gameplay system? Just how far could you take this? Because if we're being honest, you could really take this in all sorts of crazy directions, and we could actually get a game that plays similarly to, like we mentioned before, FF7 Remake. Like, think about it for a second. If you were in a triple battle against your opponent, you would have to control each Pokemon and switch back and forth when giving them commands. And then, as your Pokemon all attack at once, you'd have to manage each of their health bars and move cooldowns, so Pokemon actually could make it look a lot like FF7 Remake, which we're definitely down for, and why not? And what about Pokemon abilities? We've heard some people mention that they won't be in this game, which would make sense as the last Legends game didn't have them, but we don't think this was outright confirmed yet. Abilities like Torrent or even Ditto's Imposter are pretty straightforward, and those could translate easily. But then you got abilities like Slow Start, which would complicate things. Would your Pokemon just actually move slower around the battlefield at the start of a match? How long would this last? And would their moves have a bigger windup and longer startup animation to them? That would be interesting. And what about abilities like Wonder Guard, where only super effective moves could hit your Pokemon? Wouldn't that be broken, considering super effective moves will probably have a longer cooldown and a longer animation as well? And on top of all of this, you could just physically move out the way and dodge. We know only J-Jya can have this ability, but that would just make this little guy entirely broken. Maybe throw an X-Speed on him, and he'd be zooming around the battlefield untouchable. Speaking of using items on Pokemon, do you need to actually run up and physically interact with them? If so, what happens if you get hit at the same time? Wouldn't it then be interrupted? And battle items are another thing that could get complicated. Take Lax Incense, for example. In a turn-based battle, it works perfectly. It just causes the user to potentially miss incoming attacks from the opponent. But now that battling is all in real time, what would this even do? Does it put a smokescreen around your Pokemon, or maybe it makes your Pokemon just randomly dodge attacks at different intervals? You see, that's what's so crazy about a real-time battle system. There are just so many things that need to be considered, which is probably why it took so long for Pokemon to finally implement it. And of course, we can't forget about Pokemon moves. Luckily, we've gotten some small glimpses of how different moves will interact with this new system. Like how in the newest trailer, we saw a Pokemon use Dig to dodge an incoming attack. And on the website, we can see a Vivillon using Light Screen, which seems to act like a barrier to block moves from certain angles. And in the first trailer, we saw how using Stealth Rock actually puts spiky rocks around the battlefield that damage the enemy upon coming into contact with it. We assume other moves like Fire Spin could work the same way. Maybe it'll actually put a little Fire Twister in the middle of the battlefield, and it could chase around the opponent for a little while until they get caught, or something, and it deals damage and spins them around for a bit, making them unable to act. You could also have moves like Blizzard and Sandstorm, which would actually operate the same way as before. The field gets covered in a snowy or rocky wind, and the opposing Pokemon would take damage over time from the Sandstorm, or eventually freeze from the Blizzard. But what makes this really interesting is when you take into account moves that have extra requirements, like Solar Beam. It would be like trying to charge a Spirit Bomb in the Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi games. You'd have to find your window of opportunity to charge it up. Otherwise, your opponent will just keep interrupting you. There's also moves like Double Team, which we really hope acts like the way it does in the anime, where your Pokemon just gets a bunch of Shadow Clones. And then there's moves like Lock On, which makes your next move a guaranteed hit. And that could make things very funny. Just imagine using Lock On, and then you use a physical move like Thunderfang. But your opponent is physically on the other side of the battlefield. Would your Pokemon just zoom across the screen in a plank instant and bite the opponent? There's lots of possibilities and lots of potential when it comes to real-time battles in Pokemon, and a lot of this potential would be very fun to explore if we get to do it with friends. The first Legends game didn't allow online play, but with this new battle system being introduced, it would be such a shame if we didn't get to go online with it. And here's hoping. Now, Pokemon didn't just introduce this new rank-up mechanic and real-time battle system, but they also gave a little tease to some potential story connecting it all. It's very vague so far, but as said in the trailer and website, the trainer who becomes the very best like no one ever was, the trainer who reaches the highest of ranks, will be granted a wish. Now, we don't know about you, but when it comes to wishing and Pokemon, we can't help but think of Jirachi, the actual Wish Pokemon. Will Jirachi play an important role in this game's story, or in the Z-A Royale? Honestly, no idea. We're not even sure if whatever this wish is could actually be from a Pokemon. For all we know, it could be a financial wish, or something to do with the city. I mean, in the trailers and in screenshots, we can actually see what some of the people of Lumio City want to wish for. There's a taxi driver who wants to abolish all forms of transportation in Lumio City. Except for taxis. What a wild get-rich-quick scheme. His business must be struggling if he's resorting to just wishing people would take taxis more often. See, that's why it feels like this wish is more like a financial thing or something given by the mayor of Lumios or something. There is no shot that Jirachi, who's pretty much the god of wishing, would just be used as a prize so that random people could wish for all trains and cars to disappear. There was even a woman in the trailer who said they wanted to wish for Lumio City to hold a marathon, which I feel like you don't need a wish for that. That sounds pretty reasonable for a city to just put on and do. Maybe not while they're in the middle of redevelopment, but still. All in all, we're super excited for Legends Z-A. So far, it's already turning out to be a very different game from past generations. But let us know what you all think in the comments. Do you like the new battle system? Are you excited about ranking up and hopefully being challenged? And what do you think about this whole wish thing? As always, thank you for watching, and if you want, you can check out our main channel, DevieDarx. We've made a bunch of Z-A content over there, ranging from theories about Mini-Years actually being Deoxys, to analyzing all the new NPCs we've seen in Legends Z-A so far. We hope you enjoy.